Today is the first day of spring, and this season it's early in the year. So here to talk about what's causing this early spring and the consequences we could be seeing because of it. NASA scientist Dr. Compton Tucker. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Nice to see you too. Well, talk to us a little bit about what this means that spring is coming earlier this year.
Well, what we have are some global data where we can look and see when the last frost occurs. What we've seen this year, we've had a brutal winter in the eastern half of the United States. These are some temperature data where we see it's 5 to 7 degrees colder in the blue areas in the eastern half of the country. But in the western half of the country, as well as Alaska and across Canada, it's been 5 or 6 degrees warmer. So when you're talking about weather and you're talking about climate, what we just saw was an example of weather. When we look at long-term averages, then we're talking about climate. On average, since the 1950s, spring is coming 5 days earlier, and we have some images which show that. And what we see in the light green area is where the last frost occurred on March the 20th in the 1950s. The darker green areas are how far it is now occurring further north. Now we look at April 20th, almost all of the United States was frost-free in the 1950s. Now we look, when we add the dark green colors, we see this has moved further north too. So what we're seeing is warmer temperatures are causing the frost-free period to lengthen and for the last frost to come earlier.
So what are some of the consequences of having this earlier spring and a later fall?
One of the consequences involves snow in the western United States, where a lot of agriculture and cities depend upon melting snow and runoff for their water supplies. And because it's warmer, the snow melts quicker, the areas of national forests dry out sooner. This leads to more wildfires. It also encourages the outbreak of pine bark beetles, which damage forests and also make them fire prone.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Tucker. A lot to consider as we look ahead to the spring and summer months here.